Hello, I'm Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
And I'm First Lady Amy Eshelman.
Enjoying food, music, and the arts in Grant Park is a Chicago summertime tradition. Unfortunately, while we've had to cancel many of our beloved annual events due to COVID-19, we will be coming together online this summer with Taste of Chicago to Go.
This is an engaging new series of virtual events presented by Chicago's Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events. Thanks to them, we're continuing to support our city's world-class restaurant industry.
Taste of Chicago to Go expands upon DCASE's Community Eats program, supporting about 24 neighborhood restaurants and food trucks, while providing free meals to nonprofit organizations serving healthcare and other frontline workers. DCASE is promoting Taste of Chicago eateries online, and they've organized a series of virtual cooking demos by local chefs.
For the complete Taste of Chicago to Go schedule and more, please visit the Taste of Chicago website at tasteofchicago.us.
And please, be well and be safe, Chicago.
Hello everyone, my name is Darnell Reed. I'm joining you guys from Luella's Southern Kitchen, and we're here for the Taste of Chicago to Go. I have a pretty cool recipe to share with you guys. It's gonna be our barbecue rib nachos. So we're gonna make some homemade smoked ribs, and then at the same time, we're gonna show you guys how to make a nacho cheese sauce. One thing that I've done to speed it up a little bit is I started off with the heavy cream already. So the ingredients are, we're gonna have heavy cream, whole milk, a little seasonings, which we'll get into that as well. Obviously, the cheese, we have some American cheese, some cream cheese, and some cheddar cheese. And then lastly, we're gonna have our salsa. The salsa you can use, it can be as spicy as you guys would like the salsa to be. So, with that said, I'm gonna just jump right into it. So either way, so we have here the heavy cream, which we're gonna add the whole milk to it. That's gonna be part of our bechamel, if you may. And the bechamel is just milk thickened with roux. And the roux, for those of you who may not know, the roux is only equal parts butter and flour or any type of fat and flour. So we're using butter and flour. We have the milk with the cream here. As I mentioned, I reduced the cream a little bit to begin with. The purpose of adding the cream first is so you can prevent your milk from curdling. So the cream helps that to not happen. The seasonings that I'm using today in this mixture is salt, paprika, dry mustard, and a little bay leaf, black pepper as well. The black pepper is not as important because you're gonna add some spicy salsa also. So you want to mix those ingredients in. We're going to kind of let it do what it does. So what's going to happen now is we want to bring that to a complete boil before we add the roux. The reason, and also after we add the roux, we want to bring it back to a boil because it will never reach its maximum thickness unless you actually bring it to a boil with the roux in there. So that's the purpose of adding this roux. And it's a pretty simple, straightforward sauce, as you guys will see when it reaches its completion. It's just gonna be the bechamel with the cheese, and then we're gonna finish it with salsa. The other thing that we did was we also pre-smoked some ribs. We smoked the ribs in-house. These are our spare ribs. And we just smoked them ahead of time. The way that I will eat it, the way we will eat these, the way I'll eat them and the way we're gonna serve them is we're gonna pull the meat from the bones. So then you can just have the meat from the ribs. So everyone barbecues on the 4th of July or even during the week of the Taste of Chicago. That's something that we would do also, like barbecue. And usually barbecue ribs will be part of most barbecues. what I like to do is just that. Instead of just actually having just the ribs on the bone, personally, I like to take them off the bone. If any of you guys have visited our restaurant at some point, you've probably had a barbecue spare rib sandwich. And that's another thing that we do. We'll pull the meat off the bone, serve it on a brioche bun, little coleslaw, and that's been a nice sandwich for us. But today, I thought it'd be pretty cool, pretty neat to serve it with the barbecue rib nachos, or as barbecue rib nachos. So this is, you can kind of see the smokiness coming. So this one it's starting to heat up, but we do want it to reach a full boil before we add the roux. The only other ingredients that we're gonna have, which I think should be part of any nachos, we have some pickled jalapenos, and then of course we have the tortilla chips. And this recipe, as I said, is it's simple, and it's something that you guys should be able to make at home. You can find the recipe on tasteofchicago.us. Okay, so my cream is coming to a boil. At this point is when I will add the roux, just to thicken the cheese sauce. So the roux is all in there, and you want to get it nicely mixed in. And from this point, it's pretty much smooth sailing. You just want to have it, make sure that it's completely mixed in. And when it is mixed in, you bring it back to a boil just to thicken your sauce. Make sure there's no lumps. So all we're doing now is just making sure that we're getting rid of the lumps, and you can kind of see the sauce is already thickening. Sauce has been thickened with the roux. Once the cheese sauce is thickened with the roux, only thing I'm checking for now is to make sure that I don't have lumps of roux still in there, which we don't, which is a good thing. So we don't have any lumps of roux in there. The sauce is already thickened. And at this point, which is very important, if you're cooking at home with fire, you just want to turn it off. And if you're cooking like me with the induction burner, you want to turn it off as well. And even if you want to be 100% safe, you can even unplug it. Because at this point, when you add the cheese, you don't want to boil it anymore, because you'll run the risk of burning your sauce. So you can ruin the sauce at the end by boiling the cheese. So you add the cheese to it, and the cheese will melt with just the residual heat from the sauce. So there you have that. And then you're doing the same thing. You want to just melt the cheese completely in. And this is the way I like to eat my nachos, because I know sometimes you can even bake the nachos, you can sprinkle cheese on top and bake it in the oven, but I like the creaminess of having the cheese sauce as opposed to having shredded cheese over it. Plus, one of my guilty pleasures is I like movie theater nachos and baseball game nachos and stuff like that. So this is like a homemade version of that. So you get the nacho cheese sauce. The only other ingredient we're going to add to the cheese sauce will be the salsa. Now you can make your own salsa. You can use whatever salsa you like. The salsa that I chose and the salsa that I like to eat when I'm at home is the one that you can actually get from grocery stores. I use the Rick Bayless brand, the Frontera grill. So I use the Frontera salsa, and this one just happens to be the habanero. I think a fun thing about this cheese sauce as well is you can probably, well, you can, it's not even, you can get a salsa that may have been a little bit too hot for you. The reason being is because you're not eating straight salsa and chips at this point. You're adding the salsa to the cheese sauce. So the cheese sauce can kind of cool the salsa down, so it can tame it a little bit. It can tame the spice, which is the reason I went with the habanero, because it's the hottest brand available. So yeah, so that'll be the last thing we'll do, is we'll add the salsa. And this is pretty much, well, actually it is. This right here is a homemade salsa con queso. So now you have salsa con queso for your nachos. And obviously I'm doing the barbecue rib nachos, but if anyone doesn't eat pork or even doesn't eat meat, you can have your chips and your salsa con queso. You can still add the jalapenos. You can do a bunch of things. You can add pico de gallo. You can do barbecue chicken, jerk chicken. The possibilities are endless. I just preferred the barbecue ribs for this application. So that's a nice velvety velvety cheese sauce there. And as I mentioned, so we have the spare ribs. The only thing with the rib, as I mentioned, because we're eating nachos, we want to just get rid of the bone. So we're going to get rid of the bone in the rib. And once we get rid of the bone, we can have all of this meat that we'll add to the nachos. So we'll take the bones out. Once we take the bone out, we just have we'll have some nice chunks of barbecue that's been slowly roasted, slowly smoked in-house. So you can add as much of this as you want, as much or as little as you like. And as I mentioned, we've also done this one as a sandwich. It's just a cool thing to do with ribs. Like some places where you go and you get boneless ribs, it's actually like processed, but we actually like to smoke our ribs in-house. Actual ribs, rib meat, and then we'll put it with the nachos. So from there, it's pretty simple. We have the barbecue rib, we have the tortilla chips. Just so all of your cheese sauce isn't only on top, we'll go at it that way. We'll put a little of the salsa con queso, and then we'll add more chips just to top it off. And I'll come right back at you. More chips just to top it off. After those chips, we'll add more cheese sauce. Finish it with the ribs. And the rib portion is totally up to you guys as well, because we'll add the ribs, and then after the rib, we kind of glazed it with barbecue sauce, but if you want, you can put even more barbecue sauce, as much or as little as you would like, whatever. Or none, because the ribs are smoked. If you're not a fan of barbecue sauce, you don't have to add barbecue sauce. But we'll do that. And then lastly, we'll still hit it once more with the cheese. So we have barbecue rib nachos. Finally, we'll top it off with some of those jalapenos. Because like I told you guys, I love movie theater nachos. And there you have it, Luella Southern Kitchen barbecue spare rib nachos. You can find the recipe on tasteofchicago.us. You can find us on Instagram at Luella Southern Kitchen, Facebook at Luella Southern Kitchen. I'm Darnell Reed. Thank you guys for joining us, and I'm gonna try these nachos right now. Nice.